Hello, everyone. This is David Racine with Magoosh TOEFL, and I'm here to tell you about the TOEFL Home Edition because I took the TOEFL Home Edition, and I can share that experience with you. Now, the most important thing to know about the TOEFL Home Edition is that it is jointly administered by ETS, the makers of the TOEFL, and by ProctorU, which is the company through which you will actually schedule your TOEFL Home Edition after you register with ETS. And it will be a ProctorU person who talks to you and supervises you remotely over the web while you take the TOEFL Home Edition from the comfort of your own home. So let's talk a little bit about how this works. First, I want to talk to you about the security check. Now, we've had a lot of students email us a little nervous where they're worried that they won't pass the security check, that maybe the proctor will say, hey, there's something in your testing area that is forbidden and you can't test right now. But actually, the security check is pretty easy. So let's talk about this. What ProctorU will have you do is they'll have you pan your camera around the room, your computer camera, so that they can see that your immediate testing area doesn't have any prohibited items like a cell phone or something else you could use to cheat. Now, here's the important thing. Only your immediate testing area is something you need to worry about. You can have plenty of other things in your room as long as they're out of reach of you in your testing area. And to show you what that looks like, I have deliberately kept my room about as cluttered as it was during the test, and I'm going to pan the camera, my cell phone camera, around right now and show you what my room looked like. So let's get that done. Okay, one moment here. How do I figure this out? Okay, so as you can see, this is my room. There are plenty of books, electronic devices, pictures on the wall, and here, right here, is the desk I used to take the test, and this is exactly what it looks like. And that's all ProctorU cared about, is that desk. Pan around the room, you can see plenty of books, including, check this out, TOEFL test prep books. And I could have those in plain sight as long as my desk area was just fine, was perfectly clear. So as you can see, you don't have to worry too much about completely straightening and tidying up your room, but I do actually recommend getting a fold-out table that you can keep pretty simple and just keep your computer and notes on that table, like I did. So hopefully that demystifies a lot of the security procedures for you. Let's talk a little bit about the test experience itself. Now, the test is actually pretty similar to the regular TOEFL. The questions will be the same. The interface is going to look pretty similar. There are two very notable differences, of course, which is that you have this ProctorU proctor talking to you to help you set up the test and supervising you while you take up the test. You take the test. And that proctor will talk to you through a text chat window and also through voice using your computer's speakers. They will also look at you through your computer's camera, which you give them temporary access to during the test. So obviously it's going to feel a little different, but it's very, very convenient. One other very important difference to know, you're going to reach a point in the TOEFL testing software where you test your sound. It tells you to speak in the microphone, and it says that green bars will appear on the screen if the test is able to hear you. In my case, there seemed to be a software issue where green bars don't appear on the screen, and the TOEFL sound test doesn't detect sound. If that happens to you, don't worry about it at all. As long as the proctor at ProctorU can hear you when you're speaking into your microphone, the TOEFL test software will also be able to hear you when you give your speaking responses. So yeah, if you see that, don't worry about it at all. Okay, let's talk about notes. Now, you can take notes in a couple of different ways. You can use a whiteboard, and I happened to have a whiteboard handy, but not everybody's able to go right out and run a whiteboard. Not everybody has one, and it's a little heavy. I didn't really want to use it, so let me show you what I use. You saw this on my desk. You can just get a clear plastic sleeve, and that'll work just like a dry erase board, a clear plastic sleeve with a white sheet of paper in it. So that's what I wound up doing. And then I used a dry erase marker, wrote on that. Those were my notes. At the end of the test, the proctor will ask you to show that you've erased your notes. But yeah, pretty simple, pretty painless. Now, simple and painless for most test takers. I've certainly gotten emails from a few test takers who said they had a little bit of trouble either registering for the test or they tried to start a test session and had some tech problems and had to reschedule. Most test takers are going to be able to take the test correctly on the first time, but if you do run into some trouble, ProctorU should be able to help you through it. If ProctorU isn't sure what's going on, though, call ETS customer service or email them and ask specifically to speak to a test taker advocate. That's a test taker advocate. Because right now, ETS has put together a team of test taker advocates who are very knowledgeable about this new, sometimes unfamiliar TOEFL Home Edition testing system. And if you really get stuck and ProctorU isn't quite sure what to do either, and hopefully that won't happen, a test taker advocate can help. And I know this because I actually had some technical problems the first time I tried to take the test, got a few confusing messages after that, and was having trouble rebooking. I called the test taker advocate. They got me right into the new test. So do that if you need to. Hopefully things will go pretty smoothly. And like I said, this is very convenient and it's not too different from the regular test. Anyway, Magooshers, thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful. I've written about my experiences taking this test in a little more detail in a blog post. If you're not looking at that blog post right now, there will be a link to that blog post in the description for this video here on YouTube. Have a great day, and everybody hang in there.